In this video, we are going to write an auction time series market data, using the Python SDK. The data written will be then visible in the UI, or queryable via SDK. For more information about the UI, and the different types of market data extractable, you can check the UI tutorials. For the writing of data, we need to import the core Artesian libraries like Artesian configuration, granularity, and market data. We also need to import some support libraries for a better support of date times and time zones, like datetime and dateutil. Once we import all the necessary libraries, we can configure Artesian by inserting the necessary link and our API key, as showed in the Python environment setup tutorial. In order to be able to manage the data in Artesian, we need to instantiate a market data service, and pass the configuration as parameter. The second step, when we want to write data in Artesian, is to define the provider name and the market data name. This is done by setting a market data identifier, which is the object that contains the core market data information. In our case, the provider will be called Python SDK. Because we are writing an auction time series, the market data name will be auction right. After this initialization, we can start to write the basis for our market data, based on the necessary attributes. The provider name and the market data name can be recalled by the market data identifier previously defined. The original granularity, in our case, will be day, and the market data type, for us, will be auction. Then we need to set the original time zone, set in this case, and lastly we can define the tags. The tags are not mandatory but are important to refine the research in the UI. In our case, the classification will be tutorial SDK Python value 5. Now that we set the basis for our auction time series, we need to check if this time series already exists. The check is done using the provider name, and the market data name that represents the unique identifier per each market data registered in Artesian. If it exists, the system will return all the metadata associated with it. If there is no matching, it will be created via the command register market data. We can now proceed to insert values in our market data. We have to use the market data identifier in the original time zone previously defined. The auction rows are a dictionary. The key of the dictionary is the date time of the time series that we are writing, and the values are just the auction bids values. In our case, this market data will contain the auction bids market data values, for January 1, 2021. Both the bid and the offer, in our case, will have the price and the quantity values for our daily granularity. The downloaded at is more a metadata information. It should represent when the data has been generated. The last step of this write is to upload the data in the system through the command upsert data. Unless there is an error in the writing of the data, we have no results in the terminal, but we can check in the UI or extract the data generated via code. Just for simplicity, we will check the data in the UI. On the UI, we can select on the left side of the screen the type of our market data and see all the market data available in Artesian. By selecting auction, we will reduce the menu options and see all the providers that have auction market data. We can see our Python SDK under provider name and also our tutorial SDK Python tag. If we click it, we can see the market data we just created.